Yo, happy holidays, friendos. Welcome back to the Tropical Garage. My name's Troy, and today we're going to be doing the Tropical Garage Frogroom Tour for 2024. Sorry guys, no awkward FaceTime at the beginning. We're going to just jump right in, straight to the good stuff. As you guys can see, I have completed the rack. It's been completed for almost a year. I had to do those last 3 tanks up top, but we'll get to those in a little bit. We're going to start off the tour on the, I'm calling it the south wall, the top left tank, which houses my Tropical Garage Red Frog Beach is what they're being referred to for right now. The tank itself, you can see, has not gone through any changes from the last video. The frogs are just really nice. Beautiful, bright colored frogs with minimal spotting, white feet, and white bellies. These are very prolific frogs for me. I offer them several times a year. But, yeah, as I said, the tank hasn't really changed much at all. Just has some Vresia saundersi and, you know, typical plants I use. Below that, we've got a second pair of Dendrobates Tinctorius Vanessa. This tank is actually my old Olobates Zaparo tank. I ended up getting rid of them last year, and I picked up a second pair of Tinctorius Vanessa, and yeah, they're just really beautiful frogs. I'm really enjoying these Tinctorius right now. As I said, it's my second pair, so these are producing for me as well, so I should have quite a few Vanessa offspring available this spring, if anybody's interested. But as far as the tank goes, same old. Leaf litter. This one actually has bromeliads, but most of my Tinctorius tanks do not. Below them, we've got the Dendrobates Tinctorius Kotari. This pair's getting pretty old for me. They've been breeding for 11 years. And yeah, they're still putting out healthy, viable offspring. Just a beautiful Tinctorius, really dark. I know some people just say they look like black frogs, but as you can clearly see here, they are not just straight black. There's a very deep blue, which I think is just stunning. The tank itself, this was an old tank that the woods fell apart in the tank, and I had to end up rescaping it, and I just did some great stuff and hygrolon and some wood, you know, typical Tinctorius tanks as you guys have seen before. To the right of them, we've got the Dendrobates Tinctorius peacocks, is what they're being called. These are really cool frogs. Some people think they're really ugly. I actually think they're a really cool frog. You know, it's very unique in terms of patterning and coloration for the Tinctorius. But yeah, a lot of these frogs, for whatever reason, have some weird kind of hunchback. Not sure why, but yeah. The peacocks are a really cool frog and producing for me, so I should have several of those available as well in the spring. Plants, some small vines, some moss. I think that's about it in that one. Above them, I have some Uga Histrionica small form redheads. This tank may look familiar because it used to house my Uga Pamilo cemetery bastimentos. I'll get into that story, but basically the redheads were not doing well. At least the babies weren't doing well in that tank, and I felt like they needed more attention, so I decided to move them out to the garage, and I moved the bastimentos inside in the house. And so far it's been working out wonderfully. The redheads are producing way more offspring, and the offspring are all super healthy, and the Basti group got up to like 25 or 26 frogs in that tank this year, so I ended up selling some of those finally. But anyways, that's that tank. Above them, I think in the last tour, this tank may have had Solarte, but I ended up selling my lone male, and I have a second pair of fine spot AZUREUS, and these are actually holdbacks of mine from my original pair, and as you can see, the one there, the male is super fine spotted, and this female does appear to be losing more and more spots as it ages, so hopefully I'll have a super fine spot pair number 2. But yeah, just beautiful frogs. And the tank itself, I ended up doing a little rescape for Tinctorius rather than Pumilio. I added some rocks, but plant-wise, and some varicosum, lots of moss, some dwarf African violet. To the right of them, these are the Uga Pamilo escudo in this tank. I don't think it's gone through any changes. Maybe some bromeliad pups grew or died, and maybe some other plants grew or died. I don't know, but I haven't added anything to that tank. But yeah, just wonderful, tiny, tiny little frogs. These guys are still producing for me, but they are getting old and they don't seem to be producing as much. I used to get about 15 a year. Now that number is probably like 5 to 6 a year. But they are still producing, so I cannot complain. Below them, this is the Uga Sylvatica San Lorenzo tank. This tank is kind of overgrown. It's really, really dark on the ground. The varicosum and the bromeliads, and also, as you can see, they're added some Markgravia elcoca, I believe it's called. Not positive on that, but it's really big and it's blocking a lot of light. But I actually like the effect that it's giving. It's really dark on the ground, like you would see in the jungle, and kind of brighter up top if you were in the canopy. Although I can't really compare 24 inches to a canopy. But nonetheless, beautiful frogs, and they are still very prolific for me. So everything's going quite well there. Below that, we've got the green Cipollowini tank. This is my original pair. I do have two pairs now, which you'll see here in a second. But the original pair is still doing really well. I think in the last tour, the tank was really bare. It's because the plants in there seem to grow like crazy, and I had to cut back and rip out a bunch of stuff. So right now, it's getting borderline crazy. I probably should get in there and trim, but for these tours, I usually don't go in and manicure or anything. I just show you how it is. So to the right of them, these are the Dendrobates Tinctorius yellowback. These, I think, are my oldest frogs in my collection currently, and they are 16, I believe, 16 or 17. But the tank has not changed. I have managed to keep the Begonia Lita at bay, but now the varicosum is taking over and doing its thing. Up above them, this is a new tank. That's why I took the doors off, because they are actually a little stained with water stains for whatever reason. But this is a cork background, and this one has some orange galactonatus in it. Yeah, this, like I said, was a cork background, and I did add some ceru stone, a lot of epiphytic ferns, and varicosum, and some Burlmark's Fantasy. But yeah, it's a pretty cool tank. I really like the vibe in it. It's ferny and very green and lush. It also has like a dark, like there's a lot of like deep crevasses and cave areas in that tank, so it's kind of got like a dark, mysterious vibe, if you will. But yeah, I am really enjoying this tank, and I'm enjoying these frogs as well. They will not be staying there for the long haul. I do plan to put them with my Phyllomedusa Bicolors. Above them, these are the green sips. This is my second pair of green sips holdbacks. I actually ended up just selling these like a week ago. I still have them because it's cold, and I'm going to ship them once it gets warm. But yeah, this was the old Uaga Pamilo Rio Colubre tank, and I just didn't see him enough, so I ended up selling them to my friend Braxton, who really likes Pumilio. So I like Pumilio too, but sort of over the shy ones. But anyhow, these were some gorgeous holdback green Cipollowini that I kept, and I do have some froglets and tadpoles from them, so I will have some of their, I guess, genetics, but yeah, I will be selling those as well. So this is the south wall completed. As you guys can see, I also put in a new floor. Actually, I just kind of put it over the old foam floor, so it's still warm on the ground, but it's a lot nicer looking. And now we're going to move on to the north wall. First off, we have some new frogs in here. These are the yellow-brown blotch that I got from my buddy Walter. I've never really been into the yellow-brown blotch, if you can believe it, but some of them are pretty ugly, I think. But these ones are really, really nice. Walter produces some really, really awesome yellow-brown blotch, as you can see. And yeah, I couldn't be happier with these guys. They are producing for me, but no good eggs yet. All bad eggs currently. But as you can see, these are just really unique, stunning frogs. It's like orangey yellow. I do use a lot of carotenoids in my supplementing, so some of the yellow does tend to go orange. Sometimes like this one, you can see it's a little bit more yellow than orange. And next up below them, we've got the Uga Histrionica large form redhead. These are really stunning Histrionica. The tank itself has not really changed much. At least I haven't actually intervened and added or taken anything away. But that oak leaf ficus is surely looking like it's going to need ripped out of there really soon. These are one of my favorite Histrionica. They're just large, bold, and I love their coloration and their variability in terms of patterning and color. They're just amazing frogs. And that's one of my favorite things about small form and large form is just the variety of patterns and colors you get out of the offspring. But as I said, tank hasn't really gone through any changes, but these guys are very prolific for me and producing some really nice babies. Below them, this is my OG pair of Dendrobates Tinctorius Vanessa. I've had these guys for quite a while, and the tank I had changed a lot the past spring. It had these really old looking nasty bromeliads that I ended up replacing and just doing a complete Tinctorius sort of plantscape that I've been doing lately. So it hasn't completely grown in yet, but it looks okay. But the frogs, they look amazing, as you can see. The moss on the bottom I did not change. It's still really nice green lush moss. I added some varicosum, some Burlmark's Fantasy, some other stuff. I don't know. And to the left of them, these are the Brazilian yellowhead, Dendrobates Sanctorius Brazilian yellowheads. The tank, I kind of ripped a bunch of stuff out of there as well, and I just have Lincoln Park Zoo, and I added a bunch of little Markravia cuttings. You can see they're starting to climb up the background. I did end up losing my female Brazilian yellowhead last summer, and I ended up picking up 4 more juvies from my buddy Drew. Shout out to Drew. He hooked it up. And above them, we've got the Uga Histrionica Bahia Solano. These are arguably my favorite frogs in the frog room, for good reason. They are just absolutely beautiful frogs. Their coloration, whether it be bright orange or bright red, I do not care. I know some people are like, orange ones are ugly. I'm like, no, they're not. They're still amazing. Just because a frog's red and not orange doesn't mean it's not amazing. But yeah, these frogs are just incredible, and I have been producing offspring from them, and there's one right there. Very healthy offspring, which I'm happy to admit. And the tank itself hasn't really gone through any changes. I don't think so. I mean, I don't know. The last time I did the tour, I think, was about 2 years ago. So there may be some bromeliads that I've pulled and added bromeliads, but, you know, just for purpose in terms of breeding, not for aesthetics. So, and above them, I've got the Uga Pamilo Guapiles blue jeans. This tank actually used to house my Ranitomea reticulata, but as you guys know, with Ranitomea, I can't seem to hold on to them very long because they're just too shy for me, which these guys are actually pretty shy too, but they're super rare and I wanted to work with them. I've never worked with blue jeans before, so I figured I'd try my hand at it and see what I can do with them. And I have produced a couple froglets. The first ones were not healthy, so hopefully this current round they will be. But anyways, these are stunning, beautiful frogs, and the tank has changed a bit because I added some bromeliads, where in the last tour I don't think it had any bromeliads. And also in the last tour it was a new tank. Now it's been set up for roughly 2.5 years, something like that. I don't know. Anyways, beautiful tank. And to the left of them, we've got some Uaga Pamilo Drego Cologne. and I have worked with them in the past, and I missed them when I sold them. So I ended up getting some about a year ago from my buddy Walter, and I believe I got the other one from Mason, if I'm not mistaken. This tank did used to house some Ranitomea Highland Sorensis, but as I just told you guys how I am with Ranitomea, I get rid of those too. These are some beautiful frogs, and they are also extremely variable. Similar like to Bastimentos, where you get some heavy spotted, some fine spotted, some like no spots at all. They can range from like a darker green to an almost turquoisey green. They're just super neat frogs, and I'm just tickled to have them back in the collection. And the tank itself just added some bromeliads. Below them, this is a pair of OOPHAGA LEHMANNI yellow. And these guys are producing for me already, which I'm excited because I just set up the pair. But this is the tank that I built on the channel, showing the cork background method that I do. Similar to Sharif or a bunch of tanks method, but he uses a screwdriver and I use a drill to carve it. But yeah, there's two different complete styles, but using the cork as the main background. But I do have to give him credit because I was inspired to try it out. The frogs themselves are beautiful, and one of my favorites, as you guys know, I love, absolutely love, the yellow LEHMANNI. And below them, this is a same frogs, same tank as before in the last tour. These are the Dendrobates Tinctorius Citronella. I don't think that's how you say it. I just say citronella. I'm not sure why I did that. But plants are kind of, I don't know. It's a hygrolon background. It's very simple, utilitarian setup. I didn't try to make this one look really nice at all. Probably due for a rescape, but the frogs are happy. They're doing well, and, well, they haven't told me they're happy or sad, but I assume they're happy. They look happy. So, I don't know. I'll maybe rescape it one day when I'm really bored and I get the itch to do a tank. But nonetheless, absolutely gorgeous frogs. You can see they're snacking on some fruit flies that are collecting on a banana. And moving to the left, you can see my nice little toes there. This is the same frog, same tank as the last tour. These are the Dendrobates Tinctorius Oyapak. Some people like to say that I have one of the best pairs of Oyapak in the United States. I may tend to agree with them, so I decided to try and get some froglets this year. I did a lot of froglets a couple years ago, and some sold, but some kind of hung around and didn't sell very well, so I don't like to get stuck with frogs, so I hadn't bred them for a couple years. They would breed, but I'd never pull their eggs. Now with the new tadpole setup, which I'll show you guys at the end of the video, I'm going to plan on having quite a few of these in the spring and summer. So, just incredible Tinctorius frogs. I mean, look at that. Just a beauty. And above them, we've got the same frogs in the same tank with the same plants as the last tour. These are the Uga Histrionica Bullseye. These are not the brown ones that are from Tesauros. These are an old line. They were called old line red bullseye, but mine are pretty orange. It's a bright orange. They're pretty. They're red when they're babies, and then it does fade to orange. But as you can see, many of my babies do not have the spot. But as they age recently, I've noticed the ones that I've sent out, they do end up developing spots or a little spot. It's not just a plain jet black back. But I've had these guys for a while. I think they're my second or third oldest Histrionica in my collection. I think I got them in like 2016 maybe. But still healthy, still producing. So what else could you ask for? Maybe some babies with spots right out of the bromeliad. That's what I'll ask for, I guess. And moving above them, This is a tank that I don't remember what it had in the last tour, to be honest with you. I think it had a second pair of AZUREUS that I ended up selling, and now it currently houses my Uaga Histrionica Anchikaya lone male. I am in need of a female. I lost my female about a year and a half ago, and I've had a few males that I've got from my buddy Julio, and I've sold off some of the spare males, but this is the one that I would like to keep because I think it's absolutely stunning. One of the most stunning examples of the Anchikaya, I believe. Yeah, I'm just waiting for a nice female to pop up on the market so I can get some of this baby's genetics out there. And that wraps up the north wall of the U-shaped frog rack, whatever you want to call it, tropical garage frog rack thing. I don't know. Whatever. That wraps up the north wall. And now we're going to get on to the display wall, if you will. Okay, so you can see here, this is the display wall, I guess I'm calling it, because it's got the wider tanks that I think make better for a display, which is kind of opposite how the frog room used to be when I had the 2 rows instead of the 3 rows. I used to have the bigger tanks like kind of on, I had one on the far right end and one on the far left end, if you go back and watch. And I think this is more of a showpiece, kind of inviting, like, wow, that looks cool. Anyways, this is a new tank, was not in the last tour. It's a 44 by 17 by 24 with the cork background and some ghost wood. This one houses some Dendrobates Tinctorius Matecho that I got from my buddy Nick Zappa, aka Tink Tank. I did a video on the unboxing of those. If you guys have not checked that out, it's pretty cool to see how these guys have developed. But one of them is like, I don't know, 95% yellow, the male. He's absolutely stunning. I think some people don't like the solid yellow ones, but they'll say that, and then they have like yellow or orange terribilis, and I'm like, doesn't make sense. But these guys are really big. They stand out in the frog room like crazy. Just an amazing Tinctorius locale that I've tried to keep several times, and as you guys know, they were kind of my Achilles heel, but Zappa was adamant about getting me some that were healthy and that I could have and enjoy, and well, I have them and I enjoy them, so that's where we're at with that. They are currently breeding, and I do have a couple tadpoles, but they're still relatively young, so they're kind of working out the kinks of good eggs and bad eggs. Below them, we've got the Uga Lanii Orange. I think in the last tour, these guys, I didn't have a pair. Maybe I just got one and it ended up being male, but as you can see, I do have a pair now. I've produced a few froglets, I think 4 or 5, but they were all really nice. They're beautiful. The tank itself has probably grown in quite a bit since the last tour. I did do that one little montage video on their tank about 2 years ago. But yeah, I really like this tank, and I absolutely love the orange Lehmanni. Sometimes in pictures or in certain lighting, they look yellow, and then other times, if you look at them, they look pretty damn orange. My male, as you can see here, does not have the white toe pads. Oh, big bummer. I guess I better get rid of it. No, I'm not like that. I'm relatively picky, but not super picky. The female does have the white toes, and I still think my male, even though he doesn't have white toes, is an absolute beast of a frog, and he's just, look at him. He's just gorgeous. Why would you ever get rid of that just because it doesn't have white toes? There are some people that are like that. I'm not one of them. Going down below that, we've got the Dendrobates Tinctorius Aorus. I don't know why I said it like that. I'm drinking and it's late, so yeah, I'm going to be goofy. These are the fine spot pair of AZUREUS that I have. For whatever reason, this tank stays pretty dry. I don't know why. It's got a little tiny vent up top. I don't know if it's because it's in the corner and the fan that I have that blows in my rooms that oscillates all the time. I don't know if it just gets more airflow there. I recently covered the vent, the door vent there, I took it off for the video so that the glass was clear, but yeah, these guys are still producing for me. So I do plan to have some for the springtime. Not too many. I don't like to have too many Azureus because I don't know how many of them are going to be fine spotted, but I don't want to just have a ton of standard Azureus because then it floods the market with everybody else that's already flooding the market with them. So gorgeous frogs. I think this frog I actually had in the tank, but it's the holdback, and I ended up moving it to its own tank. But whatever. I couldn't find a clip of my the male that's in there, so that's what you get. To the right of them, we've got the Phyllomedusa terribilis mint. You guys have seen before. I have 6 in there currently. I lost 1 out of the 10, and I did sell off a few extra males that people were in need of a male. So the tank has grown in really well. Males still call all day. Females still lay huge clutches. I haven't really been pulling any clutches of them because I'm focusing more on the Tinctorius this year. I'll still pull a few good clutches if they look really good and like really big eggs and lots of. If I get like a clutch of 20 or 40, then wow, look how fat. 20 or 40 tadpoles, then you know I'll raise something like that. But I'm not going to be pulling every single clutch because it's just I'll have hundreds and hundreds of mint terribilis, and nobody wants that. So, well, somebody might, but it's not good for the hobby. Anywho, tank has grown in really well. Above them, we've got the Uga Histrionica Tato. If you guys did not see, I put out a Tato in-depth video, I think it was a year and a half ago, maybe. One of my favorite videos. I absolutely loved that video. It didn't do well at all in terms of views, but it was one of my favorite videos. I thought there was some really cool footage that I captured, particularly of the female taking the tadpole and depositing it in the bromeliad. Like I captured all that, which was really cool, I thought. But it was probably boring for everybody else because I tend to be really boring and my voice is super boring and not made for YouTube. So anyways, these are some very unique, gorgeous frogs. I didn't shoot any really new clips of them. I just recycled clips from the in-depth video because my tours get more views, and most of the people that are going to watch the tour probably didn't watch the video of the Tato in-depth because it did so poorly. So you'll see it now. Anyways, really cool frogs. They produce really well for me. They are, I think, one of the most stunning Histrionica in terms of they're just so unique, and they are quite variable. Some of them you get like this with 1 spot. I have a couple babies right now that have like 8 spots on them, and they're just absolutely gorgeous. Above them, this is a new tank that was not in the last tour. This tank houses my Uga Sylvatica P Blanca. These I got from Julio, and this one, the female is just gorgeous. That's the female. She's got lots of really nice white spots on her feet. The tank is another cork bark tank. This tank and the tank to the right of it, I did scape it a little bit differently. I tried to make it look like one giant continuous piece of wood with like a couple branches that branched off of it. So it was like a fallen log kind of tank. I really like it, actually. It's a little less chaotic, but yeah, these frogs are really cool. Still a bit shy. I don't know if they will become more bold, but for me, they are a bit shy. They have produced 1 froglet, but I'm not sure if it's healthy. It's about 3 to 4 months old, and it looks like it's about 1.5 to 2 months. It's really small. But nonetheless, it is still alive. It is eating. So we'll see what happens there, but enjoy the frogs. Just incredible looking frogs. There actually is a clip here. You can see the baby. This is the female snacking on some fruit flies, and I did include a clip here where you'll see a little baby coming up. Maybe not. I don't know. I thought I did. Like I said, it's late and I've been drinking, so yeah. Oh, there it was. It was there. And to the right of that, we've got another new tank that was not in the last tour. This tank does not house any adult frogs. It currently does have some Histrionica babies in it, but there are no adults in this tank. They were all hiding as well, so I couldn't get any shots of them. But this is another tank, like I said, inspired by like a fallen log sort of scheme. It was a really big piece of wood, and I just kind of laid it along the ground and tilted it up towards the background. And then I super glued some branches onto it to kind of make it a little more interesting. But I love the multi-tier caves aspect to it. This tank and the last tank do also have quite a bit of rock in it. I used real rock rather than fake rocks because I'm not using substrate or drainage layer. And I figured, well, I'll just use real rocks, and it kind of balances out the weight if I were to use substrate and drainage layer. But anyways, below that, this is the OOPHAGA Histrionica Blue, or OOPHAGA Blue Histrionica, whatever you want to call them, in this tank. That's a stunner. The tank hasn't really changed. You know, bromeliads, some pups die, or some mother plants die and some pups take over. This pup's like growing up to the top. Probably needs to be cut and transplanted in that tank somewhere. The monolina kind of goes nuts in here as well. I do have to trim that back every once in a while. But for the most part, I just let this tank do its thing and let the frogs do their thing. And do have several froglets in there. I think I have 2 juvies and 3 freshies. And then here's my pair. This pair has been going strong for a few years. I did get some really cool footage of this frog, that female there when the tadpole's on her back. I did get some cool footage of her dropping off a tadpole and a bromeliad and then feeding it, as you'll see. She just dropped it off right there. The misting system went off and scared her and ruined the whole shot that I was trying to get, but I still got a cool shot of the tadpole snacking on some eggs. So that's cool, right? And moving on to the final tank of the frog rack. This is the fern paradise. I didn't plant any of those ferns. They just grow out of the moss. But this has the fine spot LEUCOMELAS in it. And as you can see, it just goes nuts with the ferns. And I just ripped the majority of all those ferns out about 6 weeks ago. And this is already the growth back. So I'd love to get rid of them, but I do like the look of them, I must say. They do make it look cool. It's a cool, I guess, vibe or scheme to have. At least one tank like that. Really ferny and jungly vibes, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. But anyways, fine spot lukes, great frogs, nice call. They don't really do well in groups. I know some LEUCOMELAS do well in groups, but the fine spots tend to not do well in groups at all. I've come to notice, but I don't have a group. I do have a 1.2. I have one male and 2 females in this tank. The one female I kept is the hunchback that you guys saw on the previous tour. She's still alive and doing quite well. But yeah, I didn't get any shots of her. But that sums up the display wall, if you will. And there's another look at the entire frog rack. Don't go anywhere. We've got more stuff for you, like the 300 gallon and some tadpoles, and Enzo is there as well. So I'm going to turn around here. This actually is a new tank that I built. It's a 60 by 24 by 44, and I think Braxton's going to take that. If he doesn't, then I'm going to build it for the bicolors and the orange galax. And here we have the 300 gallon Craspidopus tank. These are the Cruzio Hylocrispidopus. I have 4 of them. I have 3 males and 1 female. And the tank has gone through some changes. Some of the plants just got too big and I had to pull them. In the fish area, I do have some orange Venezuelan cories, some panda cories, some cardinal tetras, some ember tetras, some blue axolotli, spotted Borneo loach, and I do have a hillstream loach, and I've got some Amano shrimp. I had some cherry shrimp in there, but Yeah, they disappeared. So somebody was eating them. Oh, I do also have the blue-eyed fork-tail rainbow fish. That's a mouthful right there. But those are actually one of my favorites. They're so cool. And there's one right there. I do really enjoy the fish. It's great for the 300-gallon paludarium because the tree frogs are really boring in the day and they just kind of sleep all day. And the fish, they bring it to life for the daytime. And then lights go out, nighttime light goes on, and the tree frogs come alive and you get to watch them at night. So it's cool at all times of the day. There's a little Borneo loach really snacking. Some pandacories and blue-eyed fork-tail rainbows just going at it. Yeah, there's the rest of the water area, and I really love that left side little waterfall, mossy wood waterfall, whatever you want to call it. But the frogs are all doing well. I've had a couple, actually I've only had one that got a pretty bad prolapse, but it was able to, I had to intervene a little bit. I won't go into detail, but yeah, it's been doing really well. Since then was like 4 months ago, so seems to be doing well. I haven't really tried to breed them, like use it as a rain chamber, but the female I have, I think she's just kind of coming to age of where she would potentially breed, but I don't really plan on breeding these. If they do, they do. Cool. If not, then that wasn't the point of the tank. But anyways, trying to think what else I do in this tank. I haven't added anything since the last one. There's foggers in it. The waterfalls all still work, and it's kind of I wouldn't say waterfall. I'll call it a drip wall. There's a couple areas that drip harder than others. If you want to call those waterfalls, go ahead, but I don't really want to call them that. And also this still works. Alexa, turn rain system on. Okay. Sweet! The rain system still works. I had to replace a couple lines, but they just got clogged over time. So I just replaced some of the lines and poked them with holes like I did before, and it's working just like day one. And of course I had to include a couple cool shots. So yeah, that's the 300 gallon. And now we're going to go over to the Phyllomedusa Bicolor tank. This is just an empty tank. It's like it's a 15 wide by 23 deep by 24 tall. I just use paper towel on the bottom and a water dish and change those religiously for the bicolor, which, as you can see, when they're sleeping are pretty boring, but when they wake up, yeah, just amazing looking frogs. I absolutely love the way they look. They creep some people out. I think they're so cool. As I said, they are going to go in a big tank, either that big one I built there or another one. And here's the new tadpole setup that I recently actually just put on YouTube a couple weeks ago. If you have not seen it, I'll put a little thing there for you. But it's a really cool system, and it's going to work out for me. It's got heat, it's got drainage, it's got filtration, it's got all kinds of cool stuff. So if you're interested, go check that out. Alrighty, friendos, that's going to wrap up the 2024 Frogroom Tour. I tried to make this tour a little shorter than the past few that I've done. I feel like they tend to get really boring, so hopefully this one hits the sweet spot and keeps you guys wiry and awake, although I'm sure that won't happen. I've got a couple more projects that I am working on, so hopefully I am able to share some of that with you guys on the channel. Lastly, I do want to thank you all who took the time out of your day and holiday season to watch this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and hope you all had a wonderful holiday, and we'll have a great new year. So be safe out there and take care. Goldberg, out.